All right. Go for it.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Commander Jen Wilderman, former commanding officer HSC-23 and current wife of the XO of HSC-85. I'm a carrier aviator by trade. I commanded an expeditionary squadron, and I married into the HCS, now HSC world, about 10 years ago when my husband made the transition. So I'm asking a question. This is primarily directed at Admiral Manazar, the air boss, regarding the support of irregular warfare, SOF, and the shutdown of 84 and 85. Like I said, with my history, I've lived, literally, every aspect of the HSC community. And I think I can speak to the differences between the various parts of our community. This isn't about, why are we shutting down the squadron? That isn't what it's about. It's about something that the CNO said about 2 years ago when we got the word that we were potentially chopping these squadrons, that we were cutting back because of the budget crunches and scaling back to core mission areas only, and that SOF and irregular warfare wasn't a Navy core mission. Since then, the active duty squadrons have been asked if they can actually fill the RFF. So are we in or are we out? And at what risk? Active duty, the question I always get asked is, who's the better pilot? I am. So can the active duty support this mission? Of course we can. We're trained, we're capable, but I'll tell you what we're not, and I've watched it. We're not nearly as proficient as the guys at 84 and 85. It's a different business model. It's a different funding model. They get more time in the saddle. They get more bullets to shoot. There's many a time that I've told my husband to shut because I don't want to hear how many bullets he got to send downrange. They're more proficient. So at what cost? Can we do it? Yes. But are we going to take the risk of sending junior aviators out there to do the mission because they're manned with second tour or above? Are we going to take the risk to mission and risk to life? Are we going to take the risk to funding to change the business model of the active duty squadrons so that we can be more proficient at all mission areas, quite frankly, because we have a lot more to do? Or are we going to keep the squadrons around that are already proficient at it? Or are we out of the business, like the CNO said originally? So that's my question. Are we in?
You had us at in or out.
Or are we out?
Boss?
I think you're advocating for in, right, Beast, is what you're saying?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so, CNO values the capabilities that we've gotten from HSC-84 and 85 and did not want to just blindly cut those capabilities out of Navy's portfolio. We worked as hard as we could with SOCOM to come to a solution here in terms of what we were investing and what they were investing. And they did not want to break the model. They said, okay, if we do this with Navy, we're on a slippery slope. We'll have to kind of help support every other other service assets that go and support SOF directly. And so we worked this thing very hard. Admiral Manazar and his team did. I talked a little bit earlier about where we sit with 84 and 85 right now. It was Navy's decision after we couldn't reach that agreement, partially because of the fiscal environment we're in, and the fact that we thought with the ability to kind of take advantage of the expertise that has been out there doing this in 84 and 85, the people who have those relationships with the SOF, who understand the mission, who've been working this, even though they may not shoot guns as well as you do or fly as well as you do when you and your husband having that conversation, but to preserve that capability and that expertise, and we'll do that in some fashion, depending on what Congress what decision Congress makes on the way forward. If they allow us to shut down like we're doing, we'll recapitalize inside of a tactical support unit somewhere, whether it's in a weapons school, a RAG, or wherever. We will have that stood up so we can keep the ACRC synergy that goes into this mission and the expertise, and then we'll share that with the active fleet as we start prepping and responding to RFFs, which I certainly think we will do. And to your point, I think that capability resides within the HSC community now. We just have to devote a little more resources to it. We won't train everybody to that mission. We can't afford to do that. We'll pick and choose who those folks are that go forward and augment with the expertise we've got out there until we develop enough of that inside the community that we can do that and support it across the board. But we'll, we value it. Admiral Nauser may have another comment here on kind of how we got to this point, but the decision kind of rests with Congress tonight. They've sort of tied our hands on or called our bluff on the shutdown.
Yeah, great question. And first, before I answer the question, thanks to you and your husband. I know it's hard to colo and deploy, and so thanks for your continued service. It's a chess game in the Pentagon. Having the CNO in our corner is invaluable. And as the Air Boss said, he supports his capability. And the discussions about fiscal matters with combatant commanders and paying for the services they have, you got the result that we have now. It is obvious that we cannot replicate 24 helicopters and 800 personnel, constant 365, 24/7 RFF, forward all the time, doing proficiency level direct attack missions, supporting NSW, day, night, anywhere, unless you pay for that capability. And so what we're doing now with eyes absolutely wide open, given the decision about HC-84 and 85, is how do we replicate the capability, understanding we can't replicate the capacity, how do we replicate the capability in our current HSC force? I just took the draft of a brief from the HSC Commodores this morning, and going forward to explain to the money wizard in the Pentagon, the N8, about what the money he allocates to that mission is going to be used for. But the brief, and we'll work it a little bit more as they put it together, the brief is going to be very pointed. You don't get HSC-84 and 85 unless you pay for HSC-84 and 85. I'm sort of a plank owner here. I was the N40 at AirPac under Admiral Zortman when this thing first started way back in 2004. Actually, it was all the way back to HAL 3 and 4 Light, that kind of stuff. And so it always killed me that we would back into this requirement. We continued to Band-Aid it. It would kind of go away and come back up, go away, come back up. So I'm a proponent. And I'm hoping in this chess game, whether it's Congress that puts it back in, whether it's Big Navy that does it, whether it's SOCOM or somebody else that says, hey, we really need kind of the HSC-84 and 85 capability, that we will take that signal, transition to new helicopters, put the capability out there, put a rock and PO in place for it, and let's get after it. So we're trying. So this is a chess game. Are we in for the capability? Yes. We've moved away from it's not a core mission of the Navy. Some of those things are budget-related conversations. In this whole process, working with Congress, you hear people that say the things that you want to hear, and you hear people say the things you don't want to hear. And so, I mean the helicopter community. I absolutely promise you that Bert Davis, who's my requirements officer for this, he's in the ditch, and he is fighting for this capability just like he should be. And your HSC Commodores are saying just exactly what you just did. If we're in, we're in. This is what it takes to do it. We'll put that to the Navy leadership and say, in order to do this no-fail mission, you have to pay for this capability right here. But understand, you don't have 365 24/7. Understand, you can't have a Cat 1 first tour 450-hour helicopter pilot go out and do DA with a SEAL team in the back at night under fire. You can't have that. And so we are eyes wide open here. I don't know how it's going to come out, but it is an active solution. If we get told to put it back in, we will. We'll transition to MH-60 Sierras. We'll take those guys downrange, and we'll go do that mission. I just don't know how it's going to turn out. But I absolutely, totally promise you that from the CNO down through his staff, which includes me, the Air Boss, and your HSC Commodores, we completely support the capability, and we're trying to get it done right and efficiently under the current fiscal limitations.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Jen. Viper.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.